welcome to the Gruber Morning Show. This is our weekly AI podcast. I'm Pete Gruber.
I'm Erica Guthrie.
And I'm Janie Herndon-Leon.
And we're all excited today. We've got some interesting talking points. The big thing behind Erica is a human brain.
Going to be my new brain.
That's right. That's where she's going.
It looks like it's connected to a LSI chip. Mm-hmm. And folks, the reason for this is an AI creation, of course. Mm-hmm. One of our talking points or topics is going to be the integration of tissue with computers and hardware.
Yes.
What a concept.
The bio interface that we've been waiting for decades and decades.
Right.
So we'll have a little bit of information. And what it does, of course, is it opens up a whole host of new questions about ethics, about treatment. What do we call these things? Are they now conscious? Are they live? Are they, do they have rights? Will they be part of DEI?
I can't wait to talk about rights. China's being sued left and right.
I'm fascinated by the conceptual place that we've been able to take ourselves in understanding the human body and atoms and being able to match that up with technology, which is power.
Yep.
And bind the two together. Like, to me, that's just mind-blowing.
Creepy cool.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got some topics here. We'll get to that. The first one is, if we got an image we just popped up here, Jesse. This is a program at one of our local universities, Arizona State University. Yeah. And what they're using is, the title, Large Scale Study Reveals True Impact of ASU Virtual Reality Lab on Science Education.
Making people want to stay in college longer.
Exactly. Dreamscape Learn program found to improve student outcomes, engagement in science, and retention of STEM majors.
I can totally see that.
And it's true. If you think it back to school, when it became interesting, you were engaged.
Yeah.
When it was boring and rote and memorizing dates, you tuned out. At least I did. Yeah.
Well,
I sure did.
Learning hands-on is
the way.
Well, people retain it better. They understand it better, and I learn that in our everyday activities, in the office.
I know that for sure. When I'm teaching and I'm training others, it's 100%. When they are hands-on and they're physically touching it, then they can memorize it better.
Make learning fun.
Right.
Exactly. So they're saying that ASU students love the Dreamscape Learn virtual reality biology experiences, and the intense engagement it creates is leading to higher grades and more persistence for biology majors, according to new data. This is the programs are called Biology 181, and it debuted in the spring of 2022. And now the experience is offered in both 181 and 182, which are intended for students in STEM majors and required for graduation. These biology courses include 15-minute virtual reality scenarios every week that have students traveling through space to an intergalactic wildlife sanctuary where they encounter intriguing scenarios that they have to solve through science.
I don't see how that's any different than like when the pilots are doing flight simulators.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Pretty close. They say that after the weekly Dreamscape Learn experience, students attend a 3-hour lab where the storyline continues, and then they get to solve unique problems using careful reasoning.
Ooh.
Some of the stats here. Let's see here. This is in the ASU Action Lab, which researches the efficacy, teaching, and learning strategies, studied more than 4,000 on-campus students from the 2 courses over 4 terms. All of 2022 through 2024, and they found exciting results.
Of course, it was exciting.
Students rated the VR experience with a median rating of 5 out of 5 across all semesters.
That's rare.
Regardless of student demographic, background students performed well on lab assignments with average grades of 90% or higher across all groups.
Wow. Talk about engaged.
And students who took Biology 181 and 182 after the addition of Dreamscape Learn labs had higher grades in subsequent 300-level genetics courses than students who took the courses before Dreamscape Learn was added.
Wow.
So there's definitely a correlation between increased improvement.
Now, you know what? It's to me fascinating aspect of these things as we continue to evolve more quickly into learning experiences such as this is what the outcome of actually applying their real life scenarios to learning in this environment.
Following them maybe later into their
Bingo. 5-10 years from now that you were provided this way
This
and
foundation.
opportunity for learning,
Yeah.
and then when you went out and actually put it to application, were there
effective.
higher success rates, or was it the opposite outcome?
I would like to know that.
They found that, doing it in that environment provided maybe additional padding, you know what I mean? More of a, because you don't know what the real world application, because, life's going to throw at you all kinds of different curveballs.
There's some things the simulator can't put to you. Yeah, so let's see if
the
that would work.
foundation for understanding the, application of deduction and reason thinking through problems, where they're getting that from during the course, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
The critical thinking skills they gain from it, that application is
Shout
wonderful.
out ASU, we want to see the stats.
So this is clearly an offset to the concern that AI does everything for us and that we're going to
Right.
vegetate. This
Right.
actually stimulates something. They
Sure.
say that students taking this Biology 181 after this were more likely to remain in School of Life Sciences and stay in the majors program. So
That's great.
it
Right.
stimulated that as well.
That's
Right.
great. We need
well,
more
I'm
of that.
thinking, like later in life.
Yeah, I want
But
to
I
see 10 years
I
from
liked your
now.
comment about the flight simulator application because we've been doing that for I wonder how many years now
20 or longer.
that's been put into
Yeah, the moment video
Top
games
Gun,
come out.
didn't they have that in there too?
The pattern was full.
Yeah.
All right, we've got another image here. This one is a headline from the Los Angeles Times. LA's production woes worsen as sound stages go
It's
unused
dear to my heart.
as at historic levels. Yeah. They say that the LA sound stages were once nearly filled to capacity as demand for streaming content reached its peak. Last year, however, the average annual occupancy rate dropped to 63%. A further indication, they say, that Hollywood's sustained production slowdown is well underway.
Yeah.
It's a decline from 2023, which saw an average occupancy rate of 69%. And if you remember, in 2023, that was a year when two strikes were taking place, the Screen Actors,
Right.
SAG-AFTRA, basically,
Okay.
and it crippled the local production economy for
Yeah.
years. We were doing AI podcasts at the time, and
Yes.
we were constantly saying, guys, this is the wrong time to strike. ChatGPT
Yeah.
4 has just come
Yeah.
out.
Right.
People began to realize that screen and script
They
writing
learned
is
alternative ways.
exactly.
Yeah.
And what you're doing, folks, is you're forcing the studio execs to explore
You're
alternatives.
shooting yourselves in the foot.
Absolutely.
And instead
Yeah.
of scabs showing up and crossing the union
Right.
lines,
Yep.
they're going to
Right.
be exploring alternative technological solutions, and they did.
And they're going to go, wait a minute.
If you
This
guys
is
just
actually
do the
cheaper,
job.
faster, easier to, yeah.
Yep.
So then they go on with this article. They say that the strikes ended, but production did not return as expected,
Yeah,
even
of
though
course.
in
Right.
the provision of the strike
Right.
were caveats about how the studios couldn't use AI.
Oh, right. The
with, of course,
restrictions.
limitations. Yeah,
Was
the
that like part of their
restrictions.
contract or something?
It was. Yep. And we all knew that that was either going to be violated, circumvented,
Right.
or
They'll
in some
find
way.
a loophole.
Yeah, they'll find a
Yep.
loophole. Exactly. So the 2024 numbers are far below the average of 90% that was seen in 2016 and 2022. The entertainment companies cut spending amid worsening economics for movies and TV shows to boot.
Right.
So, folks, you want to be careful what you're striking for.
Seriously.
Bingo.
Seriously.
Well,
Otherwise, you get movies like we're getting.
Well, that just goes to show, no matter what place we are at in history,
Yeah.
rather than, becoming, like defiant and nope, we need to stay in this fashion, or we need to stay in this way, rather than progressing with it. Like you've spoken about often, wrap your arms around it, progressing with it, going
embrace and adapt.
Exactly.
It's your only shot at remaining relevant.
Yes, rather than becoming defiant. Nope, we're going to stay in our ways and not,
And we're gonna
because
fight
you're
it.
going to be left in the dust.
Yeah.
I don't churn butter anymore. I buy it from the store. We can do this.
All right, speaking of universities, another one in Arizona, actually, the U of A down in Tucson. They have a master's AI that they've developed for prompting. It's part of a professional toolkit. Prompting, of course, is how you talk to AI.
Right.
You have to give it a clear set of instructions, what kind of an image you want. And the more elaborate that instruction becomes, the better a job it does, because it begins to understand all the nuances.
Right.
Well, it's a skill that needs to be acquired. That was the first thing Jesse and I were doing when we started fooling around with ChatGPT, was trying to become good at creating prompts.
Right.
Now, we also learned that you can ask AI to help you create a prompt. And it does a better job.
That's amazing. Right.
You kind of describe your image and say, give me the best prompt for something like this.
Erica, what's the best way to communicate with you?
Yeah, exactly.
Not computing.
So
Face to face.
It's called Learn AI Prompting at the U of A down in Tucson. It's a 5-week online program, so you don't even have to drive anywhere. And
That's cool.
experts lead these courses with live sessions, and it creates custom
I wonder how
GPTs.
much that is. I kind of want to do it.
Yeah?
I
Okay.
find it
Well,
relevant.
who's the expert and how are they experts?
Ooh.
Well, today, in the world of AI, expert is a loose term because we're all learning.
That's my point. Like, who is the expert?
But there are people that are better than us, and hopefully they're the ones
I
teaching,
hope so.
right?
Yeah, hopefully.
All right.
I love this.
We have another image here, and you can always tell when the Elon image is AI generated.
yeah.
I
because
want
it
an
doesn't
Elon doll.
Clearly.
Do you?
Totally want an Elon doll now.
Yeah, this is so characteristic, too, because he usually carries X around with him, the little 3 or 4 year old.
right, right.
He made it almost look like a very kind Chucky robot.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Elon says that Starship, the big rocket, is carrying Tesla's robot, will fly to Mars in 2026.
Yeah.
And with humans expected to land by 2029.
Isn't that crazy?
Do you guys want to go to Mars?
I want to travel there just to check it out.
I'm good.
I don't want to live there.
Me,
good.
it's a resounding no, and I'll tell you why. It's not
Yep.
because I'm not interested in what's going
Right,
on over there,
exactly.
but I mean, traveling to Europe, for example, I can't handle those 9-hour flights. They are murder.
Precisely.
Now, do 9 months? That's not me.
I presume they're going to put us in
That's
capsules
exactly
and like knock us out, like
Well,
to get us up there.
That's the Hollywood version. If
Yeah.
if you could go into suspended animation,
Yeah.
then it would probably work.
Considering if there was a method or mode of traveling to Europe in a more expedited fashion, and that, it wasn't a 9-hour flight or those kinds, then yeah, Frankie and I'd be going over all the time. We would do all
Oh my
those
gosh,
things.
I
but
can't wait. Beam me
it
up,
was just-
Scotty.
Yeah.
Well, actually, speaking of Elon,
Right.
he's already proposing that.
Okay.
A Hyperloop tunnel.
Yes.
And the travel time from New York to London is now 2 hours.
Yes. Do it, Elon.
Open the gates up. Yep.
Don't okay. We have a comment from TikTok. Don't live the film. It's more like the movie Siri, LOL. I do like that movie. Movie from a school magazine. Yep.
Thank you.
was
Ashley.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was it? I was.
So continuing with this Elon picture and the humans, first robots going to Mars and then humans. So Elon says if successful, he expects human landings to Mars as early as 2029, with 2031 being a more likely target. Now, whenever Elon says that, it's like
That's-
2039. All right?
Right.
Okay.
Overcommitting, underdelivering is one of his strengths or weaknesses, however you want to look at it, right?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's an interesting side note. It turns out that Russia has proposed supplying a
I
nuclear power
saw
plant
that.
to support the Mars mission.
Because they see where they're going with this, and they absolutely. I mean, wouldn't you
I
want,
mean,
fundamentally want to
Russia-
participate in that?
Didn't Russia play part in the moon landings, like technology-wise and innovating technology to get to Mars or to get to the moon?
Soyuz, the Sputnik, that woke up the world. They were leaders, in many of those things. The second thing I think that's happening is they have such a bad global reputation.
Yeah.
They're trying to do everything they can to ingratiate themselves with the world again. You know, even though there's a lot of bluster and, saber rattling, how tough they are and how this doesn't affect them nonsense. It is crippling their economy.
Absolutely.
It's like that neighbor next door bringing over cookies and saying, hey, here you go.
Yes, we said travel tunnel. That's right.
But yeah, them being involved in a technological endeavor like this is not far-fetched. No. They have the technology, they have the scientists, they have the wherewithal, and of course, aligning with a mission to Mars. It includes Elon, it may include Trump, and all the things that Russia is trying to straighten out.
Well, I think it's exciting to bring in the best of the best of
the best
people, intelligence all over the world, no matter what country they're from, no matter where. To me, that is the ideal situation.
Yeah, global leaders, not just
the most intelligent.
So, but I don't get political often in the podcast, but I'm going to throw in one thing, and of course, the goal is to Russia ingratiate themselves with the world again. All right, I have a very simple answer, and it's simply stop killing people.
Yeah,
and they would immediately ingratiate themselves with the world.
Indubitably.
Yeah.
Take it from Pete.
Yep.
Tesla self-driving can't even handle Earth.
That's the next level of intelligence. What was it? Tesla self-driving can't even.
No.
That's funny.
All right. So what do we have here? This is a headline. Texas school. There we go. Let's bring up that picture. It uses AI tutors.
Yep.
And students have now soared to the top 2% of the country.
Wow.
The rest of the article says with AI tutoring programs, Alpha School is what it's called. It's a private school in Texas, not the ones that we can send our kids to. They're a tad expensive, right?
Scholarships.
They are reporting impressive results with student test scores ranking in the top 2% of the country.
Wow.
For individualized academic support, students work with AI tutors for 2 hours a day. These aren't humans now.
Yes, this
AI
is what I heard about.
And the rest of the school day is spent honing skills like financial literacy and public speaking. All the things that you can't really get with an AI tutor necessarily, right?
I want this curriculum.
So they found that they could finish their coursework in 3 hours and still have time for passion projects such as AI dating coach for teenagers. They had a whole bunch of things listed here.
Wow.
Well, this Alpha School concept is currently growing throughout the United States.
Absolutely.
Okay, so take a lesson from the Actors Guild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Embrace it.
Yep.
Don't detest it.
Nope.
Right.
Work with it, align with it, become its ally. So that way, because it is certainly an opportunity for the teachers when we have a lot of shortages, the schools saying they don't have enough teachers to fulfill positions. Well, then, you know what? There's an ally to help support that.
I honestly would love to see emotional teaching be removed. Like the whole reason that me and my husband decided with an online-based homeschooling program was simply to remove emotion from education and just giving them an active education that'll produce emotional intelligence along the way and learning how to cope instead of being encompassed by world problems that don't relate to anything that's going on in education. It has nothing to do with 1 + 1.
So you actually did your own home Montessori project, then it sounds like.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for that, I don't think academically my children would be where they are. And it's not 100% a knock to the public school system, but the public school system can only do so much. And there's so many parents relying on that public school system to literally raise their children. And that's just not what it was built for.
Early on in the AI podcasts, we are constantly pushing the limits of AI
Right.
by trying to jailbreak it, for example, asking questions
Yeah.
like, "Are you thinking for yourself now? Are you sentient?
Right. Seeing if it understand.
Do you have emotions? That type of thing." But one of the things that I found fascinating that I recommend to anyone watching this, if you have a large language model that you like, whether it's Claude or Grok or any of those, ChatGPT 4, ask it to help you expand your thinking.
Yes.
Expand your perspectives. Give you exercises, for example. Recommended things to think about, thinking processes. And it won't disappoint. And I think that's what these schools are doing.
Brain exercises.
Right, pushing the boundaries for your critical thinking skills, so that way you can do the whole process of evaluation to make good decisions.
Yeah.
Hey, Highlander. Welcome.
Hey,
We missed ya.
long time no talk, Highlander. Good.
So MNRs, or modular nuclear reactors in India, the moon, Mars. Where are you going with that?
Potentially India was offering to do those on
Mars.
on Mars.
Yeah.
Yep, that they were going to be participating in that. Well, there you go. Then we have the world coming together, all the countries coming together to participate in the efforts, which
I like
is awesome.
this image.
We got another image pop up here, and this one is a BMW plant in Spartanburg in South Carolina. Well, this isn't the first automotive manufacturer that's using humanoid robots.
No.
But anyway, they're using them, and in South Carolina, humanoid robots, they say, are no longer part of the future. They're already on the factory floor and in a new phase in its automation.
So
who builds the robots? No, I'm just kidding.
when you open the BMW door, the light shines and it has the logo on the ground. This is BMW.
Yeah.
So does that mean that it's shining from the bottom of them, like BMW logo all over the ground?
That's not a bad idea. Maybe the robots could have some flair,
Yeah, add some bling.
Yeah, bling and flair.
Bedazzle them.
All right.
Some little kid gets their hand on it.
Here's one that surprised me, but not really. The demand on electricity is severe with AI. You probably need a whole nother planet Earth to power everything that we need.
Yep.
So, and the Californians are also very ecologically conscious, and they shut down all of their nuclear plants some time ago.
Right.
Well, it looks like Diablo Canyon in California, which is the sole remaining nuclear power plant, which has been left dead for more than a few occasions, they say, over the last decade or so, is currently slated to begin a lengthy decommissioning process in 2029. However, in the meantime, they are developing its capabilities further. So it's kind of a inconsistency there. They say some serious computing hardware at the end of last year was inserted, 8 NVIDIA H100s, which are among the world's mightiest graphical processors. The purpose is to power a brand new AI intelligence tool designed for the nuclear energy industry.
Oh, brilliant. You know what they're doing?
What?
Utilizing that resource when it's slated to be decommissioned, they're getting I'm sure, a wonderful cost saving. That's the repurposing movement.
It's
right?
probably like Elon buying the NUMMI plant for $50 million.
Oh, yeah.
Which now is worth,
it may seem like a big deal at the moment, but the outcome of what you're going to get out of it, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
astounding.
just confused at why would they decommission it when we're needing more of it?
Well, at the time that they set it to be decommissioned, it
California.
wasn't. Yeah.
They can't make up their mind.
And you've got companies moving out of. Yeah.
Sorry, that was great.
California wants to be the leader in ecological initiatives,
Right.
and go green and very conscientious state, actually.
Come on, Arizona, let's beat them.
Yeah, we've got Palo Verde here, pretty big
Right.
one.
Yep.
All right, so AI is coming to classrooms in Beijing. This was another interesting article.
I saw this one.
And, there's this constant fear that the Chinese are beating us and that there's a competition and that there's a race and all of that.
Yeah.
Well, all right, you can look at it that way, I suppose, but any school system needs to begin incorporating AI, and they need to do it
Absolutely.
rapidly, especially in light of all of the problems that they're having.
Yeah.
funding
Yes.
problems, teachers not being paid enough,
that's
a
what I was
huge
saying, yeah.
attrition. I mean, teachers are going to get jobs where they get paid better. I mean, even Starbucks pays better, as a barista.
That is true. Yeah, it is a shame that people can't afford school anymore.
But in Beijing, China, it's coming to the classroom this fall, they say, and primary and secondary education schools will introduce at least 8 hours of AI classes per year.
Don't they go to school
I
like
would-
12 hours a day
Don't know.
in China? Yeah, I heard
That's
that.
a lot.
The impact the AI will have in learning, when you're taking, even as you mentioned, taking the emotional aspect out of it, what does that do to the next generation's social skills and their ability to work together, should the
Collaborating.
need arise in those social environments, culturally, they're in a...
Yeah, they'll be extremely independent when it comes to AI learning. So how does that affect their social skills?
Right. Like in 20 years from now, I mean, even now you go to a restaurant, and we talk about how everybody's on their phones
Yeah.
and there's no more of the
There's no
conversations at dinner time, that kind of thing.
Social skills may be declining as a result.
Personability.
Yeah.
Right. Because
I would
can
hope not.
AI help teach that area as well?
I don't know. I think it could help you understand what an emotion would need to be and what cue to utilize it. But as far as it physically having the experience of an emotion,
Well,
I don't
unless
think
we
it
have
can
an
do that.
AI robot that then also acts as a human and then can offset, which then you've got the whole...
I just got a mental image. I went
Yeah.
to my granddaughter's.
Yeah.
She's in 7th grade.
Okay.
And she was part of an honors program where they, the academically accelerated kids got a certain junior achievement or something like that. So,
Right.
sitting in the in their the place that they have their
auditorium?
assemblies,
Yeah.
auditorium. Yeah, it was actually the gym.
Okay.
And I was looking around at all the kids, trying to get a sense for what are kids like these days.
Oh, I'm
Right.
sorry.
And so what I was seeing was the guys weren't physically athletic. They were thin. They were
malnourished.
introverted as hell.
Their hair wasn't brushed?
Yes.
Yeah, they were.
Do you
I
remember
saw it as
90s
well.
grunge? They remind me of a bunch of 90s grunge.
Yeah, but now that you're mentioning all of that,
Right.
it looked to me, I mean, when I was in high school, there were two distinct camps.
You
There
had to
were the
dress up.
thick glasses nerds that carried their, books
And then
with
the cool
them.
kids.
And they were, physically, not well developed. And then
Right.
there were the jocks, and they were outgoing. They were out there. They were picking fights. They were
Right.
walking up to
Yeah.
people. They were talking. They were engaged, right?
Yep.
There wasn't the
I
separation.
didn't see that. Yeah, I saw
funny.
kids that were completely introverted that obviously weren't
all-
in any kind of sports or athletics.
No.
Right.
And
It's all about video games, and the only way they'll be sitting right next to each other. They don't want to talk to each other, but they're texting each other.
yes, yeah. Anyway,
That
okay.
social.
Have to throw that in.
So
wonder you
then
have
there
social
goes the
anxiety.
future of 100 years from now. Everybody is operating in their own space of their tunnel of
Yeah.
them and their computer and AI. And something happens, so everybody's got to work together. I'm plotting a movie
Yeah.
now of the next,
Yeah.
You just copyright. We're copywriting. Janie's copyright.
How do I work with you? How do
All
I
right.
get you to understand without me prompting it correctly?
Right. Well, Erica takes a 5-week course and prompts it for you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I've got an interesting story for you here. This
I can't wait to
is
see.
a trophy
Yes.
that we got in 1987.
Make a wish.
That is awesome.
It is from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And those of you unfamiliar, let me tell you a little bit about it. The Make-A-Wish Foundation is a organization, nonprofit,
Yes.
that grants dying children their last wish.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And yeah, it's one of those nonprofits where you're going, all right, now that's one I can get behind.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And it's for 30 years plus now, they have resisted the urge to create fat salaries,
Right.
lavish office spaces. Their funding goes to the kids
Yeah.
Yay. Yes.
and their volunteers involved. So we're 100% behind this organization. So in 1985, actually, Hewlett-Packard came to us. And we design and build computer rooms, data centers. And they said, we've got this nonprofit. They have no money, and we're going to donate a mainframe to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, an HP 3000 at the time.
That's cool.
They need somebody to build their computer room because it's going to require air conditioning. It's going to require clean power. It's going to require data cabling, electrical changes.
Right.
In a house that was donated in South Phoenix.
Wow.
So they weren't in a high rise. Again,
Right.
it was donated stuff.
Right.
Well, anyway, our team rose to the occasion. We asked our
Love
vendors for
Love that.
support.
Yeah.
Vendors supplied a 1.5 ton AC
Wow.
unit airflow at the time. They're out of business now, unfortunately, but it's like Liebert and
Right.
some of the other big ones.
Right.
APC also does AC.
Nice.
And Control Power Company out of Troy, Michigan. Still in business.
Really?
Used to make power conditioners. They donated a 45 kVA power conditioner. And then our people volunteered their time. Our electricians, our data cablers.
That's amazing.
The company supplied the hardware, the electrical fittings, the conduit, the wire, all of that.
Yeah.
And we
That's
were just so
awesome.
proud of ourselves that we were able to
Absolutely.
help, right?
Yeah, I would be too.
So
Volunteer when you can.
So as a result of that, they ended up giving us this plexiglass enclosed wishbone, which at that time was their logo. And it has an engraving. There's an engravement on it. It says Make-A-Wish Foundation on the front, and then in the back, with gratitude to Gruber Associates, Inc., 1987. Now hold that thought, because I'm going to show you something that blew us away, and it's related to AI. So this is Make-A-Wish Month at the Gruber companies, and we usually have flat screens all throughout the company that show what we're commemorating that month, in addition to the training that we do.
Yeah.
Right? So this is Make-A-Wish Month, and I took a picture of the, let me bring that up here, of this, there it is. Can we get that up, Jesse? Okay.
There you go.
And it was kind of rough, and you couldn't see the back. You can't see the portion that says, with gratitude to Gruber Associates. I then ran this image through AI to improve it. And boy, it does not disappoint. By the way, this is the new ChatGPT image program,
Okay.
which, where is my improved image? Oh, right here. All right, there we go.
Oh, nice. Wow.
It's beautiful.
It is.
It got the shadows out of there. The reflections are out
Yeah.
of there. But you know what blew us away? Read it. Where did it know that with gratitude needs to be put on the front, and how did it see it on the back?
Right.
Right.
Okay, that's what we said, right? And we're
Yeah.
puzzled.
Because when you took the picture and you put it in there, I mean, technically, what is it? 2-dimensional? It's not. It's not.
It's not three-dimensional. No, it was my cell phone. Took the picture.
Exactly. So
That's
how
crazy.
would it have known
You talked
that
about
it
it.
was behind?
And I expand this. Here we go. Do you see with gratitude anywhere there?
Oh wait, unless it searched the internet and found other
Probably.
ones like this, and it took the other pictures it's found on the internet and the writings that were on those, and
I thought you guys would eventually come to that conclusion,
Right.
which only proves that AI knows all.
Because I'm sitting here thinking, well, you guys were talking about with gratitude. How do we get with gratitude in there? And then it put it in there.
Right.
That's what I'm
Right.
thinking as I
Right.
was
Yeah.
listening, but
it was listening.
All right. Now, it gets
Yeah,
even
it's got
more
ears.
interesting. Let me show you the original picture. And it
oh,
was
that's so
a
80s.
it was a pixelated,
That's awesome.
fuzzy type picture.
That yellowish tint is in every 80s picture.
So here's what it
Oh,
created.
that's cool. Looks so
Wow, a
lively.
modernized,
Yep.
yes, clean, crisp.
Now, there are some
Awesome.
errors on here. Gruber Associates is fine, but then it calls it computer service systems instead of computer site services. And the phone number was blurry enough where it guessed some as well.
Right.
Oh, I see that now.
But it did give us new wheels.
It did. Look at that. They're all
Oh,
shiny.
wow. The rims are great.
Yeah, let's take a look at the old wheels. Here we go.
Oh, wow.
Wait, that's the new wheels. All right,
Right.
need to
Go
go
to the
back
old
to there we
ones.
go.
The yellow
There's
one.
the old one. Yeah.
Look at those
wow.
old rims.
That's funny.
So
That's cool. It did a great job.
We are thoroughly convinced that AI knows all, and
Yep.
that you can use it for image enhancement.
Right.
I've been, for the last week now, taking the old family photo album images and running them through AI, and what it is doing is remarkable. Now, one thing, though, that it won't do, if you have any children in the picture, it will stop it. It will say, this is a violation of our charter, blah, blah, blah. However, adults, it does okay, but it changes their appearance.
Of course it does.
Okay, interesting.
Your nose becomes a lot straighter.
Yeah, right.
I know mine does, because I have what we call in my family the Guthrie hump. So when I'm doing AI and I've asked AI to make it better, my nose is always so much smaller, and like it makes everything a little, my eyebrows pulls them out a little. It makes me look like I have a facelift, and I'm super excited. And I'm like, okay, all right.
All right, so the final part of our discussion is the brain behind us and the merging of...
I've been looking forward for the final part.
All right, so this is Metabach. It's not just another AI system, they say, but a significant step toward AGI, artificial general intelligence. It integrates living neurons into machine intelligence. In other words, bio tissue, right? Shifting from programmed computation and biologically adaptive to biologically adaptive processing. Now, do you remember Isaac Asimov in the last session we had was saying that the machines are going to become human and the humans are going to become machines?
We're going to start.
There's going to be merging. Exactly.
There it is.
Yep.
The birth of AI humans.
Now, of course, they say this integration forces researchers and ethicists to address critical ethical and philosophical questions. Is a biohybrid still a machine?
Ooh, no.
Well, what percentage of it makes it human versus...
Yeah, you can draw a line there.
The brain, okay, so let's say the brain stops working. Does the computer keep going? Then I would say you're a machine.
Well, let's go with humans.
Is it the computer keeping the heart going?
is a human with a bunch of machinery, artificial heart, liver, whatever else, still a human or a machine?
They're a bioman.
Well, the bionic man. But...
Go Robin Williams.
Okay,
right.
I see the benefit clearly came to me right away is like the whole aspect of being able to make a twin. So then that way you can be operating and scientifically AI could have you in two places at once.
Oh, we've already talked about that. Yeah, time travel.
Well, no.
Traveling around the globe.
Physically have, because you have components of yourself in a robot and components of yourself in another robot.
But remember, consciousness is also ready to be downloaded into machines.
Right.
And
so
and backed up
then you can just download your memories for that day or your events for that day.
into another
We're never going to have mental health problems again.
into another vessel.
Yes.
Into into a humanoid robot.
So then you've got a bunch of you working out
hybrid
there.
body. Yeah.
I'd rather be at the beach and the robot work. Let's go.
So, obviously you're at your deathbed, right?
Right.
And somebody says, yeah, you want to continue to live? You say, yeah, give me another body.
Right.
We're headed into that direction with
absolutely.
that technology.
Absolutely. They're already cloning people to a point, and cloning like physical humans, cloning animals. They're able to clone any of that. So I don't see why they wouldn't be able to download consciousness into a robot. There's just it just makes sense.
So here's how this article continues, and it's provocative because it's going to create some more discussion here.
Go.
Okay, AI today follows a predetermined logic. It's ones and zeros.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This Metabach, by contrast, is capable of learning, adapting, and making decisions in response to new stimuli.
Ooh.
Very, very human now at this point, right? Now, they say, could this technology evolve into something resembling self-directed intelligence, which independently processes information, forms responses, and makes decisions without human intervention?
Ooh.
Right.
Right now, AI is counting on us to give it direction, give it a mission, give it, all of that. As AGI begins to come into play and sentience, AI will do its own.
And I hate to say it, but it could come to some reasoning better than most humans because it can go through the process of analyzing, the deductions of what is good, what is bad, what are the repercussions, it could go through that much faster.
Oh, I take the could out completely. It will.
It will.
Anything
That's
more
what I mean.
intelligent than us.
It'll go through the reasoning, analysis.
We will
okay,
never get
okay.
angry. How wonderful would that be?
So they have a cool term for this: synthetic consciousness.
Yeah.
Compared to what? Biological consciousness?
Right. Well, that's like my data hygiene, for our CRM system.
Yeah. No, it makes sense though. It makes sense to be capable of developing this and being able to use it in everyday people is going to be okay. Keep going. Sorry.
So it's there's some questions here. We're not going to be able to answer them. We can speculate. All right. What happens if biohybrid AI accidentally develops self-awareness? Well, it's not going to be accidentally. It's going to happen.
It will happen. Right. Right.
Would we recognize it? Would we be obligated to grant it rights and ethical protections? Will there be a whole new group of lawyers that crop up that protect the rights of these machines?
Do we look at it? I would almost want to conceptualize it as another species.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would think it would be a completely different species.
It's a species, and categorize it as a species.
Well, one of the earlier podcasts we did,
Right, I remember,
was that we've all been waiting for aliens to arrive. They're here.
Okay.
We created them.
Right. There you go. Yes.
Oh, that's very true.
All right. Or would it remain classified as a tool, they ask, regardless of its cognitive abilities?
There's too many people out there that are going to be like, they have feelings.
Do we end up being on the endangered species list?
I don't know. They can revive us like the wolf. Sorry.
That's true. Yeah. You wanted to insert that wolf
I know.
Wolf is cool.
I felt that coming on as well. Yeah.
And the mammoth. I can't wait to see a woolly mammoth.
Right.
That'd be so cool.
We enjoy being near the top of the food chain, but as these things begin to get recreated, ain't going to happen. Can you imagine a T-Rex going down Central Avenue destroying stuff on the way, right?
No, come on. I
so
cannot think of
far-fetched.
Jurassic Park in real life.
Right.
All right. So they talk about ethical oversights. Of course, now they're going to talk about the governments and corporations controlling biohybrid AI. How could it be exploited? Well, could it be weaponized for manipulation, surveillance,
Everything
or warfare?
can.
Oh, without a doubt.
Everything can.
And that's the first thing
Great
that...
power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, so they say when intelligence is no longer just a product, but a living process, how do we regulate it without stifling progress? Are we playing God or just accelerating the inevitable?
Accelerating the inevitable.
Do regulations even come into play at that point in time? Is it even necessary?
It
I
depends.
think regulations are maybe just a restriction that we are creating as based on our own level of intelligence. That we are creating that because we are limited at our intellectual level. At that point in time, it's not even necessary.
No.
Exactly, yeah.
And most humans don't even use 10% of their brain.
Yep.
So it'd be nice to be able to see what 50% looks like.
So some other questions here. Are we indeed in control of what we create, or are we entering uncharted territory where intelligence surpasses human oversight?
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
An astounding yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the final question they ask is this the next step in technological evolution, or are we on the verge of an ethical dilemma that we are not prepared to handle?
It's only unethical.
The ethical dilemma is a restriction based on the level of our intelligence, so it's not even necessary.
Really?
And eventually it won't be human intelligence because we haven't really excelled in that category very much, have we? Yeah.
Basically, humans want to be adequate, and if you
Right.
throw an AI out there, we look inadequate, and therefore I think that's when the emotions, the egos, all of that
Right.
just takes over. They're like, well, I'm smarter than the computer. I created the computer. It's like,
Yeah.
well, it surpassed you.
TikTok, Yasima Day says, pathetic theories, to be honest.
Well, it depends. Again, that's that level of, the restrictions of intelligence.
Yeah.
You really can. You have to be willing to see it from a different way. You have to be willing to innovate. You have to be willing to get into this. I'll be very frank with you. I think it wasn't very long ago on the GPS podcast you mentioned AI, and I was like, scary. But then I really went into it, and I really thought about it, and I've looked at the innovations, and just from mild research online, it was like a convince me moment, and it convinced me that AI is necessary.
The theory, I would love to hear more from that individual.
Yeah, I would too. Why pathetic?
Well, we do these every Wednesday. And the purpose of this podcast is to throw ideas out there.
Right,
Let
that's
them
what I mean.
cogitate. Yeah.
Exactly. Expand our knowledge and reasoning and understanding.
Yeah, a collaborative effort to have fun with AI and just learn together.
And it's coming whether we fight it or not. So we might as well, as we said earlier, we might as well embrace and adapt.
Yes.
So again, this has been a fun session. We've run almost 45 minutes. And we do these every Wednesday. Bring your questions to the next one. And if you have any in the meantime, the video's out there on YouTube. Just join us there. If you have any further questions, email us at support@gruber.com in this case.
Yes.
I'm Pete Gruber.
I'm Erica Guthrie.
And I'm Janie Herndon-Leon.
Hasta next Wednesday.
We're going to retrofit you for that new brain of yours.
Already plug
and
it in.
Thank you for joining us.
Take care.